Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Heart Navigating Lipedema Together. I'm Lisa Dury, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, the researcher, founder, ally, never giver upper extraordinaire, Dr. Catherine Seo.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everyone. We're so glad to have our guests today. Um,
Yes. Oh my gosh, our guest today. So listen, when you hear the words larger luxury, I want to just know immediately to our audience, do you even think, am I even worthy of luxury? Is luxury even there for someone of my size, whether I'm stage 1 or advanced, stage 3, whatever's going on with lipedema? The words larger luxury for me, when I first heard it, was like, huh, I want to know more. And I started thinking about, all the conversations we have, Catherine, about lipedema and even body dysmorphia as we navigate what happens in our bodies. And I couldn't be more happy than to have Sherilyn and Sky here today from Larger Luxury, because they are on a mission to create spaces that are inclusive for all body sizes, shapes. And what I know to be true is that when we can relax and actually receive self care, whether it's a pedicure because you can't reach your toes, or a full day massage where you can actually relax, your nervous system resets, and we can take care of ourselves better. This is such an important topic. So yeah, Sherilyn, Sky, welcome to our Heart to Heart. We can't wait to have a conversation with you today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting us to be here. We are so thrilled to be here, Lisa and Catherine. And congratulations for creating this space as well for people to hear and come back on a weekly basis to understand and to feel seen and connected and in community with each other and know that they're not alone. So thank you so much for that and for this opportunity to be in your community today.
Oh, thank you. Sky, how are you feeling about today? Are you excited about this topic?
Oh, I just can't wait to dive in. I'm here with three awesome people who just fill up my heart, and there's just so much to say. Where should we start?
There's so much to say. Where should we start? Catherine, why don't we start at the highest level? Just a quick definition of lipedema and how it might prevent someone from actually walking into a spa, going to get a pedicure, feeling comfortable in an airplane seat, anything that would actually help the audience, because we're streaming to both channels today, to make sure that they understand lipedema. And then we'll dive into why larger luxury. I'm so excited to talk about it.
lipedema is uh, um, a, a distribution of fat that is not, to say normal, I don't want to say normal, but it's a distribution of fat that is uneven, if you will. So the torso tends to be normal size, and the hips and thighs and legs and often the arms tend to be quite large. And the problem isn't that there's just more fat, it's that it's painful fat, that there is a condition. We don't know, we don't know its etiology. What we do know is that hormonal disturbance tends to trigger or exacerbate it, that it tends to show up at puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause, or any kind of gynecological surgery, and that it tends to be misinterpreted so that people, and especially healthcare providers, will see it as obesity or a form of obesity. And the issue is it's non-responsive to diet and exercise. So women come who will exercise like crazy, diet like crazy, and don't see a reduction. And women who've had bariatric surgeries only to find out they'll lose weight in their torso and that the bottom half, which is quite enlarged, might remain the same because of undiagnosed lipedema. So we're dealing with a disease entity. It was identified in the 1940s here in the US, but nothing was done until very recently. And when I say very recently, I really mean the past decade. And so we're learning more about it. There's more research being done. There's a lot more in terms of grassroots movement with women advocating for themselves and advocating for what they need for the conditions. And so that's a little bit of the background.
Yeah.
Please excuse my ignorance, Catherine, but I'm really appreciating you going through that. Can you walk me through how many men versus women are afflicted with lipedema?
It's a primarily hormonal condition.
Okay.
There are a few, when I
Mm,
say a few, it is estrogen, as far as we can tell, estrogen related. There
okay.
are some men who have estrogen and testosterone imbalances.
Yeah.
And so it's so few, and I've never met one.
So we're talking really marginalization on marginalization. So
Yes.
mostly women, mostly fat women, and who wants to help them?
Right.
Is that what we're seeing in society and in research? Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and that's really what I hate to say it that way, but you said it right on the money. It's like, who wants to help women, number one, and women who have a fat disorder? It's like it's the most neglected that there is in the healthcare system.
What I'd love to presence too for the education piece, and then we'll jump into how this all comes together. Because I was like, I invited you all here for this topic, and I think 1 in 11 women have lipedema, and that's the current statistics. A lot of it is driven by the work that Catherine has done. And the reason I'm bringing it up is, having navigated lipedema since puberty, I used to love to go to the spa. I used to, I worked in tech. I traveled all around. We've had this conversation, in our prep. And I was always looking for what hotel had a spa so I could take care of myself with jet lag and swelling. I just thought that was normal. Like, you swell on a plane, right? And I want to say hi to Patty at Lipedema Fitness, and Sherry and Patsy's all here. So we've got some interaction going on as well. I just want to let you all know we see you. But as I progressed, I stopped going to the spa. I stopped going for the mani-pedis. And these were things that were like socially ways where I would unwind. I'd connect with my daughter, my sister, and my colleagues. And as I started becoming immobile, because it does for me and many, you lose your mobility in the process. So you need assistance, whether I use a wheelchair at the airport, or you might have you might need a walker at times, etc. Some people, if it doesn't get caught later in life, you don't leave your house. It's very isolating. And so when I think about what you guys are up to for larger luxury, I really wanted to bring this conversation and meld these two worlds, because I want to give hope. And I want people to understand that you can be seen, and that you can get a robe that fits, and a table you don't worry about falling off of, or a chair you can sit in. Because the painful fat, when you are sitting and there's arms on these chairs and they're digging into you, it hurts. When you're getting your blood pressure taken, it hurts. If your pet jumps on your lap, it hurts. So the thought of going to a spa to potentially have a treatment that could hurt, much less a robe that doesn't fit or a practitioner who doesn't understand, people are like, you know what, never mind. Right? I started doing home facials, and I'm like, wait a minute. Right? Because manual lymphatic drainage is something that really helps our condition and our pain relief. So I just love to give you guys, you ladies, an opportunity to talk about why larger luxury. How is this showing up in the world? And then let's just have a heart to heart about what caused you to say, wait a minute, there is a way we can help bodies of this size. And we do know that it matters to the bottom line of the businesses. Can you all share with us about larger luxury?
Sure. Sky, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Sure. Well, similarly to you, Lisa, Sherilyn and I have had a career in international relations. We've been so blessed to be able to travel literally all around the world. And for me personally, I never went to a country without going to a spa. So whether that was like a bougie, fancy, large hotel spa, or my favorite being in Bangkok and just going to the ladies on the street and paying $1 a minute for a massage, I just love those treatments. But the reality is, most of them weren't positive experiences. And instead of actually relaxing me, they created a lot of anxiety and left me in a lot of tears. And just sadly, I have story after story to share about that. And so when we were doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work, again, mostly for our whole career, Sherilyn and I we notice that, wow, we're always advocating for others to take up space and be seen for who they are and be confident in who they are. But we were where were we in that equation? Where were our dimensions of diversity? And so we started to think more deeply, and we started to talk a little bit about size inclusion, which really was completely not on the DEI radar, completely didn't exist. And then there was this serendipitous moment where I was writing a blog about my experiences over the course of my life as an employee in a larger body, and some of the lack of accessibility and outright discrimination. And then at the same time, and here I'll turn it over to Sherilyn, because she was actually having a real life experience that was unpleasant. And then that brought us to where we are. So Sherilyn, please.
Yeah, so this was like the end of the pandemic. Well, the end of like 2022. This is our rescheduled spa experience from what me and my best friends from March 2020. So the world shut down, and so it was March 2022, and so we thought that we would go back to the spa or attempt to go back to the spa, and running late, and my girlfriends were already there, and I received the wrong size robe not once but twice, and it was absolutely not malicious. But the fact that I had to advocate for myself, the fact that I felt unseen, I felt like a monster, like I felt like there was something wrong with me because I didn't fit into the ridiculous one size robe, which doesn't fit anybody really, or fits very few people. So I broke down in tears at the end of the day, because it just, after 2 years wanting to be outside with people that I love in an environment where I'm supposed to be relaxing, and now my anxiety is off the charts and for everything, I just didn't feel like this was the right space for me, and it really threw me off. And instead of and I wrote to the establishment afterwards, and their response was really not great. So I talked with Sky, and we decided we have experienced this a lot in our time as professional women going overseas and enjoying spas and trying to just relax. But when you're going into this environment wanting to relax, and you actually end up in more distress than when you walked in, that's saying something. And it's not, and it's little changes that people could be doing to make people like Sky and I feel more welcomed and actually have the relaxation experience that people are wanting to have. So that's where we really put our thoughts into what can we do to help raise awareness, but also create a certification program so people can discreetly look at, does this establishment actually have what I need? And if they see the larger luxury certification, oh, that is an establishment that I can go to, that I want to go to, because they've gone through training or they have those experiences. So it's discreet. It's also luxurious. There's a movement there. So that's what we wanted to do. We want to create the Michelin stars of spa experiences for people in larger bodies, and for people that don't have larger bodies as well. When you are accommodating for people of larger sizes, immediately you feel like you're in a more luxurious space with a welcoming environment. Who doesn't want to feel like that? Mm-hmm. So in catering to or accepting more people of larger bodies, you're actually creating an increased, better spa experience for everyone.
That's amazing. I was telling Lisa a week or two ago. So I moved recently, and there was someone who was so helpful to me in the moving process. She helped me pack and unpack, and so I thought, well, I haven't been for mani-pedi in a couple of years since the pandemic, really. So I took the both of us for a mani-pedi without thinking ahead of time, and at the place we were, it was very difficult for me to fit into the space for the pedicure. Manicure is easy, but the pedicure was much more difficult. And I never even thought of it. I just immediately, I didn't think, which is interesting to me, gee, they should have known and accommodated me. It was more like, oh, I've gained weight. I have. In the past year, I've gained weight because I've been really sick. And so that weight gain, and obviously it's my fault.
Yes. We always internalize what has really absolutely nothing to do with us. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, because we always frame this around three key buckets or baskets. So infrastructure, design, and attitudes. And so Sherilyn, with the robes, you know, and I was just thinking, if there's anyone watching us who's thinking, well, what's the big deal about a robe? Well, you know, if you're trying to close the robe and I'm all bosom and it just like hangs out, and if you have to go walk through a public space, or you know, if you can't change in the room, or you have to go and ask for something, you're really exposed. And then if you don't fit into a chair, or you don't fit on the table, or let's say you're a very tall man like my husband, you know, the legs just hang off the table, that's a lack of comfort for everybody, right? You can think of larger bodies in many different ways. So we've got infrastructure. And then, of course, we have design, which we can touch on a bit later with accessibility. But the attitudes, is so important. I was many years ago, I'd love to share this story because I think it really picks up on what you're saying, Catherine, about how we internalize it. Mm-hmm. So I was in Tel Aviv, right, on the beautiful Mediterranean at a very fancy hotel. And I was in they had like a private beach area, and I wanted to rent an umbrella. And so I waved the man over and asked if I could rent an umbrella. And as he was setting up the umbrella, he leaned into me. It was very inappropriate. And he like brushed his hand on my shoulder, and he whispered in my ear, "Your body is too fat to be seen on a beach." And so these are the attitudes. And, you know, again, did I think that he was the jerk? No, because I'm sweating and my face is hot and I'm trying to fight the tears back, and I want the sand, you know, the hot sand to swallow me up, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know if anyone else heard me. And then I think everyone else on this whole entire beach, you know, 1 million people on the beach are looking at me, right? You think the spotlight is on you. And so I just picked up all my things. I didn't go for my treatments. I checked out early, and I've never given my money to that spa again. Now, am I a billionaire? Of course not. They don't, you know, my couple of dollars isn't going to dent them. But when you have attitudes like that, compounding in every different aspect of the spa, from the front desk to the people on the beach, to the health practitioners, whoever they may be, inside the spa, to the merch that you sell in the boutique, you know, any kind of attitude, to the images that you have on the walls that don't represent the beautiful range of humanity, those attitudes tell all of us that we're not welcome there, that this is not the place for us to receive and revel in healing.
Mm-hmm. And many times when we're talking to people about the spa industry or the wellness industry, and people want to say, well, it's aspirational. Of course, we don't have pictures of people who are in larger bodies because it's aspirational. People want to look like the supermodels. But do we? Like, do we not want to see, for me, I want to see authentic, real, happy people. I want to see myself, because what kind of world are we creating when we're saying that these are the people that are valued, that you're only valued because you look or you fit into a certain robe, rather than you're beautiful and worthy because you exist, right? And because all bodies should be celebrated, because we are absolutely deserving of respect and that feeling of comfort, and that feeling of just being seen and accepted. And I'm so sorry that you had to face that guy, and that guy, I just want to go and punch him in the face all these years later. But I'm so, it's horrendous that somebody would even consider opening their mouth and sharing their opinion of your body to you.
Yeah. Like, April, I put in the comments, people of size are the most discriminated group, and it's fully accepted by our communities. And I think that's an important thing to at least presence, because it is, in the literature, talks about that discrimination. It's probably the last colluded upon discrimination, that it's somehow the term that they use in the literature is controllability. That there is a misunderstanding and a misnomer that the condition is controllable. So if it's controllable, it means that at its root, it's the fault of each person who's fat, that they somehow are doing something to make that happen to themselves.
Yeah.
And that's lifestyle choices in terms of food or exercise. And I mean, it's so fascinating how it's inculcated in our cultures. It's not only just here in North America, because you guys are in Canada, we're in the US. It's everywhere in different forms. And I mean, to say that that happened in Israel, it's absolutely inappropriate. And yet it's the kind of stuff that goes on all the time.
Well, you know, and data shows us very recently that over the last few years, while DEI has been making some strides, data shows that there's been a reduction in some types of discrimination. And if not a reduction, at least a better awareness and some efforts being put towards it. But at the very same time, anti-fat bias and fat discrimination has continued to increase.
Yeah.
While we're, you know, doing, well, I won't say well, because we still experience racism and sexism and transphobia and everything else, but there isn't even an effort or a pretending of an effort to accept body diversity as just the natural component of overall human diversity. Catherine, you know, I love your comments, and I always sort of like to say there, well, you know, worst case scenario, let's say, you know, what if it was a lifestyle choice, right? Which it isn't, but like, let's say, what if it was? My answer to that is, so what? We have smokers, we have, you know, all kinds of people who are no longer treated with such stigma in broader healthcare spaces, because we're treated, we understand the trauma-informed approach, and people are treated with humility and with some cultural safety. And so why cannot larger bodies just have that same respect or grace, and when they're being treated in any kind of health or para-health context, right? We exist, therefore we should be treated with some humanity, I'd say.
I agree.
Sky, can I say something real quick to you? Because I haven't been able to presence my deep appreciation for your story. One of the things that Catherine and I want to do in these heart-to-hearts is have a heart-to-heart. And you, I don't know if you could tell, because you had to be brave enough to tell the story, but we were all tearing up because we've all had this experience. And I think that the more people like you share this kind of example, it opens people's eyes to what's dealt with, because many times I never said a word to even the people I was with that I had those moments.
Yeah.
I just internalized it. And then I started shaming myself multiple times in a day. I'm not talking like over a lifetime. I'm talking in a day. Yeah. I too have the robe thing. And, you know, my really thin friends, they never thought about, I'd call ahead and go, how large robes do you have? You know, when I went to go get my EKG before I was doing a pre-op for a surgery I'm going to have, I was like, well, the robe fit. It's not even just at the spa. It's even in the medical system, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to say, I know what it takes to relive that moment. And I just really, I think it's so important that we all share these stories when we're in a space where it feels safe, right? And so it's safe here to talk with Catherine and Charlene and I, but I know that this is public because you're sharing it and it's going to be streamed. And I just want to thank you and acknowledge you telling the story, because we all have them. Mm-hmm. And if we don't talk about it, then we can be very academic about include everybody and it's good for no, it hurts.
Yeah.
Like that person, we teach this in my daughter's school. Like if you can't change something about someone in 5 minutes or less, don't comment on it. Mm-hmm. You got broccoli in your teeth? Cool. You know what? You shouldn't be on the beach. Zip it. Right? Like it is not, who are you to have an opinion about my worthiness to be here? No. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I'm sorry. It's probably my TED talk for the moment, but there's no way I'm not acknowledging that. And I'm reliving all mine in the process, you know, so we could spend 20 more minutes on all the stories we have, or we can just say, hey, raise your hand if that's happened to you too, you know, because it has.
Sure. And I think it's been a journey for Sherilyn and I, and to be honest, finding a space for our own lived experience in the work that we do with DEI has been somewhat healing, because I would never expect someone else who, you know, has different dimensions of diversity to be ashamed or humiliated because of it. I would think that would be outrageous. So now I'm asking myself, right? And, you know, I'm, you know, in my very late 40s. So this has been decades, but now I am consciously, and this is where kind of those self tools, Catherine, that, you know, your research has enlightened us to, is I sort of am taking a moment to pause, notice, and choose. And I'm choosing to say, hey, why should I be humiliated by your attitude? I don't have to internalize that anymore. Why do I need to be at war with who I am? Because you think this is a failing. Maybe society thinks it's a failing. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But I am still here, and I exist, and I bring good to the world, and I love me, and people love me. So that should be enough for all of us, I think. And that's why we do this work, because we love people. We love humanity. I have been through 57 countries. I lived and worked in the Middle East and Central Asia and Africa for nearly 20 years. I love humanity. I love people. And so, hey, guess what? I love myself, and I love Sherilyn, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention there, again, going back to a gender thing. I was at a spa in Argentina with one of my best friends. And it was one of those mud spas, so everybody had to be in a bikini or something. And I was probably a size 14, 16 at the time, so smaller than now, but generally a size where you would expect you could find a robe that fits. Not in Argentina. I asked for the large robe, but because I'm a woman, they gave me the large women's size, and it was too small. But my friend, who's a petite woman, also was my advocate. And she said, that's wrong, Sherilyn. We should go ask for another robe. And I didn't want to, because again, it was that shaming of myself. And I didn't want to, but my friend went up with her poor Spanish, and she was asking and advocating for me. And we actually saw a man who was much larger than I was, and he had a robe that fit. And so we're pointing at this man, and he's like, there's a robe that fits. And because I didn't have a penis, I was not allowed to have that robe somehow, because apparently a man can have a larger robe, but not the woman. And I'm like, it's a white robe. What is the big deal? Mm-hmm. So I could have, at that moment, now that as you're speaking, Sky, I could have been, this is ridiculous, and that self-shame on myself. But because I had my friend, she made me see that it's the system. And if I was there by myself, I probably would have been there thinking that it was all on me. But because I had my friend, my ally, and my advocate, we were able to see the ridiculousness of the system. And that allowed me to not recall that spa experience as a moment of trauma, but as a moment of, this is ridiculous, and just the system. Mm-hmm. And have a wonderful day with my friend. So at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of different angles where we could be looking at this. But again, thank you for sharing that story.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that so much. This is just, talk about a heart to heart. I'm not trying to cut you off, Sky. What I wanted to suggest is, we were getting comments here. I want to just bring a couple of voices in. So Simi Davis is saying, we've been taught to try and be invisible and to not matter, hold ourselves small, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking, when I go to the spa, I always bring my own flip-flops. I never think twice about wearing their flip shoes, but I have I can only wear their robe. No, I can bring my own robe, for Pete's sake. What is the story we tell ourselves? Oh, look at Dottie. I take my own lounger or nightgown to appointments instead of instead of them searching for something. Dottie, way to go.
Yeah, that's great, Lisa and Dottie. I saw Dottie's comment come through there in the comments. And yes, I think that's awesome, because that's self-advocacy. But I just want to throw, I want to push that a little bit. I want to throw.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we shouldn't have to. And yet, that's our workaround, right?
What I would love to say is, if you are an establishment, right, that is charging $200 for a treatment, a facial. 200 I think is even on the low side, especially at some of the larger, more luxurious and elegant establishments. If a consumer is paying that much money, I think it's incumbent upon the establishment, and it should be shameful to the business owner that their clientele has to bring their own robe. This is not about bringing our reusable shopping bags, right?
Yep.
We're not going for groceries. We're coughing up a lot of cash. And I don't know, I would be leaving a pretty poor and negative review. And I would be leaving glowing reviews for any establishment that I could see was making an effort. It's not about perfection, but what changes can you make, large or small, so that every person coming in, right, can have a great experience.
Mm-hmm. Mic drop moment right there, Sky. Mic drop moment, right? And yes, we advocate and we can do this. And why should we have to? That's the bottom line, right? So can you walk us through, for the time we have left? I know we were talking about attitudes, but there's a couple more components of larger luxury, and then we'll drop your link into so people can learn more. But what's the foundation? So I've been through I got to preview your program. It's amazing. But let's walk through it a little bit for the audience to just understand, if they were to see the certification, what the establishment and team has learned about through the lens of larger luxury.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a twofold process, really. So if you're a spa owner or any kind of like health and wellness center owner or director or manager, you would want to start with our larger luxury course, which is an asynchronous, self-directed course that really takes you right from the beginning of setting the scene around why is this important, and then takes you through a number of strategies. So marketing inclusively, for example, your infrastructure, what changes can you make, training that you can do for your teams, attitudes that you can change within your team, how to build a diverse team that actually reflects the community of users in your establishment. So it really goes through all of that. And if you do the activities and do the deep thinking that we prompt you in this course, you can completely transform your business model to be one of inclusion. And then, your revenues are going to skyrocket. And then after that, there's another opportunity to actually become a recipient of the larger luxury seal of approval. And Sherilyn and I have worked to develop an audit where we can come into your establishment and audit it for body diversity and size inclusion. And then should you be successful, which we really hope you are, and we'll help you be successful, then you will be approved and accredited, and then you will be a member of our worldwide network of larger luxury approved spas and establishments. And that's telling people in larger bodies with money to spend, where is it safe and wonderful for them to do so. So you're going to be in with, a much broader clientele base.
I think this is so important when you think about the power of community. So what I know about lipedema ladies, as we say, yeah, what surgeon should I go to? What doctor gets it? Where should I get my compression? Is there a CLT that's, fat friendly, right? Like all the things that we're already living with. And so now we get to say, oh, and for your birthday or that special occasion or that time when you just want to go have your spa day, look for this too. It's just, it's such a powerful thing when the community, because Catherine built a lipedema provider directory because everyone was looking for a doctor who gets it. Right. So all of the community input. So I'm hoping that this community will take a look at largerluxury.com and look for what's going on in their own. Maybe they already have nominations of places that are doing it well, because we know where we go to feel safe. Yeah. Right. And we know where we go that the robes fit, or that the practitioner doesn't have a comment about the size of your limb, if you will, because especially with lipedema and lymphedema, I raise my arms to just give context, right? Like no one's going to say my arm is small. And so you need to be comfortable working on a limb this size and make it in a way that I feel comfortable and get the relief I need from the pain I'm in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm watching Catherine nod. Catherine, what would you like to say? Because I know this almost is like a aspect of them, some of the dreams from when you started just even doing your PhD work.
Yeah. We've talked about self-care and the importance of self-care. The idea of taking yourself for a facial, taking yourself for a massage, taking yourself for a mani-pedi, anything that reinforces this. Sherilyn, you have that on your t-shirt. Can you stand up?
Yes. Yeah, everybody is
Everybody
worthy.
worthy.
Everybody is worthy.
What we do is that we judge ourselves as not being worthy, and we don't allow ourselves those amazing little things that can make such a difference in our quality of life.
Yeah.
And we definitely do that in community. And I made an appointment to go back. I'm getting another mani-pedi in 2 weeks.
Yay.
I'm just the kind of thing where it makes a difference.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of people connecting with us to let us know and to shout out who's doing it well. I think we're going to drop our Instagram handle in the chat as well, and
Please do.
we can do that. And if you have any spas that you like, please reach out and let us know, because we want to connect with them and we want to help them or ensure that they're larger luxury certified.
Yeah. And I always like to leave all the viewers and listeners with a challenge. So if you don't mind, I would love to leave this challenge of allyship. So of course, we can all leave negative reviews, but we have found people respond to the positive. People, when they feel good and they feel valued, they'll do more of that. So we really encourage you, when you see a spa or any kind of business that is doing anything that is size friendly. So do they have good accessible washrooms? Do they have a good range of sizes in their clothing? Is it easy to move? Is mobility easy in their establishment? What is it? What do you see that is size inclusive? And leave a Google review shouting that out. So especially to our, straight sized people in the world, please be our ally, be an advocate for us. And you don't have to live in a larger body to notice inclusion, and shout it out, scream it from the rooftops. We all have to work together to normalize it, right? Just like we would with any other dimension of diversity.
Are you guys a larger luxury official?
Yes.
Instagram? I'm posting.
Yes.
Catherine is so good at this, y'all. She's like so quick. Larger. Okay, there's the Instagram handle. There you go, everyone.
That's us. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to, if I could, as we wrap up, talk about the power of positivity in this moment. It's not to bypass the pain, right? What Skye's talking about is, would you rather fix something, or would you rather already be, I don't know how to say this the right way. What I'm trying to say is this. When you think about the world that we're in, there's enough negativity. That's what I'm really trying to say. Yeah. We are, already given messages to ourselves and in the world on every social media platform. So what a gift to anyone who has a business that is size inclusive to get a shout out from a positive standpoint. I see this happen on Southwest Airlines a lot for their person of size policy, right? Because you're able to fly easier because of the way they treat bodies.
Yeah.
So I love this challenge so much, Skye, and I'm just so grateful for you both being here today, and Catherine for all the work that you've done and bringing this topic into our community regularly. It was such a joy to be able to say, oh, I know this one's going to be awesome. We're going to go there and be real and have a heart to heart. And for, let's see, Dottie and Simi and April, Patsy, Sherry, Patty, so many people here commenting and being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing your voices into the conversation as well.
And let
Catherine, I'll
me
leave it to you to wrap us up.
Yeah, let me say thank you, Lisa. You are just the most wonderful explorer. You find so many wonderful people to bring, and it's just amazing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. And thank you to Exchange, because there was some magic in the Exchange community that we are all part of and didn't know, but that's how we all met.
Thank you.
Yeah. So ladies, how would you like to leave us? A thought? We already have the challenge. Last thoughts, comments. How would you like to wrap it up from an everybody is worthy standpoint? We'll let you wrap us up today.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it. My shirt says it all. Everybody is worthy. That's my final comment. You're worthy. like everybody but you, everybody on this call, Lisa, Catherine, Dottie, Simi, and everybody that I can't see, April, Patsy, Sherry, you're worthy. You're worthy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, please like, share. This conversation matters. Let's see how we can amplify it and amplify the amazing women doing wonderful things at Larger Luxury. Make it a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.